All right. What's up, Facebook? Um, yeah, we're gonna try this live stream thing again. The start of the campaign was a disaster, but the start of the campaign stream was a disaster, but the start of the campaign was amazing, and we had an awesome end here. For those who follow on social media, we had a little bumpy road there at the end, but so grateful. So many people rallied to help us at the end. Winston and I really appreciate it. We're so happy to get this second and final issue out into the world, and really having a good feeling as we approach 200 backers here. I'll change that. As we approach 200 backers, that really makes us feel good about the future of the series. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but Winston and I are already talking about the next issue and hoping to have LCS come back in 2026. But we really appreciate it. We hope that you like where we leave the story off here. It is a 2-issue miniseries, so we wanted to give you some nuggets for the future, but also kind of give you a bit of closure on this first little chapter of the story and the world that we're building here. So we really hope that you enjoy it. It looks like it's going to get out there in the world. Jump in the comments. Let us know if you can hear us on the stream. And yeah, so let's why don't we, while we count it down again, we see 34 minutes, so down to minutes. That's always an interesting and scary time, but we're well above the goal where we need to be. Last campaign was 176 backers. This time we've already got 193. Kickstarter does do late pledges now, so we are gonna try that out and see if some people come in a little bit late. This was a shorter campaign, so we don't want to not have people get the book that funded when they can easily just continue to back, as we won't place the order for a few weeks as we finish up letters, which is what I'm going to do right now. You've already seen this panel in the book, so no real spoilers. We've been using this as a promo piece, so I'm just going to kind of letter this and let me know if you're enjoying this type of content. Always happy to share the lettering knowledge that so many people shared with me early on in my comics career. I was able to be taught how to letter by some peers, particularly my former co-publisher and Bobgar Ornelas really taught me the groundwork, and then so many other amazing people helped me. I still am learning all the time, including, if you are interested in lettering, Nate Picos, Piekos. He goes by Blambot on all social media. That's his lettering company. He does most, if not all, of the lettering for Dark Horse. Outside of the Mignola books, he does so many books for Dark Horse. And he has a great book about comic book lettering. And that's just a godsend to have that. But he shares tons of knowledge online. His book is very reasonably priced, but he also gives, free fonts and free information online. So he is definitely someone, if you are interested in following, he is someone I would follow. I've already pasted the balloons here. And I'm just going to double check to make sure we actually are live here. I've already pasted some of the balloons that I use. I try to yeah, it's not letting me see your comments, but I see people in there. I if I remember correctly, Mr. Ford, not to call you out, I offered to teach you, and you had some technical difficulties, which it happens, but we can always do another round if you want to learn. I think I owe you some lettering anyway for a future project, so yes, unfortunately you can't. Yes, it is unfortunate, but yeah, I'm happy to kind of show you the ropes. So when your next book is ready, we can letter it together. But yeah, I do, because it's digital lettering, I do have kind of a handful of, I can even show you my lettering working document here. Trying not to spoil too much of the book with the other pages, but yeah, you see I have some frequently used sound effects and balloon tails and the connectors, some unique balloons that I use for like radio sound effects, or if somebody's talking through like a walkie-talkie or somebody's shouting, you have to always have a pentagram available, so that's really important. So these are some of the more frequent balloons that I use. So I try to use a varying. I don't want to just use one balloon type and make it look very digitally lettered. I mean, I know obviously the font and how it's produced. Most people are going to pick up on that, but I try to use varying sizes. First off, that helps because depending on oops, spoilers abound. Depending on what is being said, how many words are being used, how long the word is, your your word balloon is going to be a different shape. Oh, you're on your way here. Okay, great. I didn't mean literally sit next to me. We have a virtual world now. Yeah, and you know what's funny? I have, and sorry, I can't share the comments on the screen for everybody else. StreamYard is not letting me do that. But yeah, Jason is asking in the chat, or he's commenting all the so many word balloon tails here. And you know what? Honestly, I save these, and again, because they have to be kind of unique to where the character is positioned, I don't often even use these. So I've had them there for years, and then they rarely ever line up just right. So I am not by any means a professional letterer, but for some reason I get into kind of like a perfectionist zone where I don't know, I just kind of obsess over it a little bit. So I sometimes spend way too much time, as I'm doing right now, instead of showing you. So we've got a couple of words down here. We're going to zoom in a little. Control plus and control minus are two of your biggest friends when you're in Photoshop and Illustrator. Zoom in on something real quick. We've already got our words laid out here. And again, at the aforementioned amazing Mr. Blambot, Nate, taught me the double dash when your character is interrupted instead of a punctuation, because the next balloon is interrupting what they're saying. You can probably barely see that down here, but we've got our words down here. It's this character on the left, Ed, one of our survivors here. He's going to be talking first. So Winston, his amazing art here has set us up great to have a spot for a word balloon here. And then this character, Jill, in the middle here, she's going to be speaking. And then Jen's on the right here from LCS. He does not have a speaking part in this. So I could go up here, and this is just kind of a fun way. I could go this. Then I've got my word balloon tails maybe pointing at this mutant attacking here. Maybe it's confusing on where it's going. I could go here. Might be a better spot, actually, just to kind of make it more clear. I'm going to try here just to start, and you can kind of see some of the process and how we do this. All right, I'm going to pick a size that's relatively close. Again, I have my, when you put the outline on a balloon, it's called a balloon stroke. Jokes aside, we have already picked that based on other pages. I usually try to base, this was a tip given to me by the aforementioned Bob Gar. I usually try to give the stroke of the balloon to somewhat match the thickness of the borders if I ever need to butt something up against the border. So this one is not that close, but sometimes you just do it to kind of fit the art and the font. I actually don't know if there's like a hard and fast rule. I'll have to refer to my comic book lettering guide by, again, Mr. Pikios. This is too small. You're always going to put the stroke on the inside of the balloon. It makes the tails sharper. So just so you know, I'm going to make this my default because it's supposed to be. So this is a 12. You see it's relatively close to this thickness here on the panel borders. You can see probably best in this balloon down here. But yeah, so we kind of guessed a pretty decent size. Again, I'm getting pretty close to the bottom of the panel, so I may want to move this one later. We'll see how it looks with the tail kind of pointing up Ed's butt there. We may want to move it over here where there's some, there's some fog and some mist and some radioactive looking stuff that Winston has added over here. I am a little bit of a perfectionist too, as far as it comes to covering up art. I really hate to cover up any of the art. I know it's part of the gig. That's comics is a visual medium and the character's got to speak and et cetera, et cetera. But I try to do my best to not make it look awkward, to still make it readable. But if I can avoid covering up some of this amazing art, again, I may end up moving this one up here, but we'll see. There's only 2 speaking parts in this panel. So, and you see most word balloons are going to be in kind of a diamond shape, with less words at the top, more in the second row, more in the third, and then back into a diamond at the bottom. Excuse me. Which you can see here that we've done. But see, this is a different shape than this one. Do I want to use the same balloon? Would I want to use this one? I think I'm going to use this one that just happens to already be here, because this is a pretty good universally, kind of these round edges I put on this balloon. I seem to use this one a lot. As you can see, it kind of leaves not a ton of white space around the edges, but enough to look semi-organic. I tend to maybe not leave enough white space when I letter. Excuse me, I gotta get a drink of water. But I've been told that before. But again, I like to cover up as little as of the art as possible. So sometimes that comes at the sacrifice of a little bit of space in the lettering. That see, that N had a little space in front of it. Doing this long enough, I kind of noticed that it was off to the side there. Excuse me. All right, let's check in. As you see, we've got our 2 word balloons there. Let's check in and see where we're at with the. All right, 23 minutes left. We're still at 193 backers, but again, we are going to, and I'll show you it here. We are going to do an incentive here for 200 backers. This is not the actual art you will get. This is a Winston and I are very much into The Simpsons, so just kind of a mock-up of a postcard that you'll get from the LCS universe. We'll use some of the art and do a wish you were here postcard that you can send to a friend or send to your local comic shop to tell them to order our book or something like that. But we thought that would be kind of a fun thing, because a big part of LCS is, the post-apocalyptic world that they're in and how they're surviving. So we thought that would be funny. So yeah, this is a mock-up, obviously, from The Simpsons, if you're familiar. But yeah, if we get to 200, even with the late pledges, like I said, if you're watching this after the campaign has ended, we're gonna honor that number, even if we make it in late pledges. So this is, I think, our second time doing late pledges. So I thought it'd be a fun experiment to do, to see if people find the campaign after it ends. This is, again, our shortest campaign ever in only 3 weeks. I will say, if for my fellow co-creators who might be out there watching, it went well. We kind of cut out, those slower days in the middle. We had that first week of, really a lot of excitement, a lot of backers. Then that slowed down a bit, but we did not miss a single day of having a backer. So that's great. We had no quote unquote dead days. So again, all good things for a 21-day campaign. I don't know. People can let me know, in the comments, or when you get your survey, or comment on Kickstarter. Did that make you feel like you wanted to back? Because sometimes I think people follow it and then just wait, till they get the notification at the end of the campaign, because we always seem to get about 50% at the beginning and like 25% at the end, and then a few scattered in the middle. It feels like people get most excited at the beginning and the end. So while I don't necessarily want to do a 5-day campaign or like a 6-day campaign, 21 days seemed like the sweet spot. All right. And now I'm not going to go over all the ins and outs of Photoshop here, but you see part of lettering, and I'm going to hold shift so I can highlight these balloons. I'm going to move them. I'm going to try to move them out of the way. I'm going to move them down here. And then I can use them again later or delete them if I need to, but you're going to hit Control Shift N to make a new layer. Your tail layer you want separate as you create them. You don't want to do that on the same layer. It will come out wonky as heck. So that's, again, something that I've learned. I'm probably going to have to move this balloon. But again, this character here speaking. So let's move that balloon. Some people may find this fascinating. I do. I did. That's why I enjoyed taking up lettering. It makes me feel like I'm, contributing to the art, which is not in any way my strong suit. I took the plunge on one comic we did a tribute to The Simpsons, and I felt like I could do a serviceable story in there. It was only 3 pages, so that's about as far as I'll ever go. But yeah, definitely am in no way anywhere close to the amazing Winston Gambro here, or all the other amazing artists we've worked with. But yeah, so this is just going to be a straight line to Jill, right? You try to aim at their mouth. I'm going to give it a little bend so it has a little bit of a personality to it there, not just a straight line. You certainly can do that, but I'm going to give it a little personality there. Same with over here. And again, I still letter in Photoshop. I know people say it's a much more tedious program. It's kind of what I know. I tried Illustrator, but I had an older version of it, and the learning curve was a bit much. So again, on a new layer, I used the pen tool to make the tail. You can kind of hold and click on each corner to manipulate it like I did. And then we're going to make the selection to make it into these dancing ants, they call them here. And now they're able to be filled in all at the same time. Oh, I see I made the mistake. Your best friend when you're doing anything digitally is Control-Alt-Z or Control-Z for the last action. Undo my last action. I do that about 800 times a week when I'm lettering. So you see the tails there, and when we merge them down, you'll see how they gain the stroke of the balloon that's below them. This is okay. I don't necessarily like it on his foot, but I don't know if there's a better. If I put the balloon up here, people are going to think Jill is speaking first. She's not supposed to be. I enjoy lettering my own work because then I can. Oh, and your other best favorite tool is Control S to save, so you don't lose your work if thing crashes or power goes out or whatever. You got to hit Control Save all the time. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I may ask Winston to kind of review this one. This balloon's kind of in a weird spot too, but I think it gets the point across. It gets out of the way of the art. It leads you down through the picture first. You're going to obviously be drawn to the people in the middle and then say, what are they saying? I kind of like that. I like this open spot here at the top. That, contrasts with the color of the mutants attacking here. Yeah, so I may just leave it at that. I might move this one a little bit later as I letter the page. I tend to do that probably way more than I probably should as I'm lettering. Again, I can be a little bit more obsessive because, hey, I'm not paying myself to do this, so I can be put as much work into it as I want. The other reason that I letter for any writers that are out there, I can change the dialogue. If I don't like this, I don't have to see it from the letterer and then go back and then say, oh, you know what, we need to change that. And then I'm having a letterer make revisions or I'm making them myself after messing with their work that they did. So I very rarely have ever worked with another letterer, but again, I tend to just kind of continue to letter my own stuff because then I can kind of edit it on the go. I don't have to commit to dialogue when I script in advance. I can kind of see the page first. I often change dialogue, which I know is a horrible mistake. You should try to stick with, what's written or what the artist had already seen, or if you're working with an editor, what the editor has already. But again, I'm the publisher, so we do it live. So there will be often times where, again, if this didn't work, I might go to page 10 and make Ed or someone say this line then, and then add here, just her saying, just shoot him. That might actually work better, right? Because then I can put it right here above her. again, it leads you right down into her, and then you can kind of see the commotion around this character. That may end up, we'll have to see. If you back the book, you may notice this. Then you may look at it and go, "Oh, he did change that at the last minute." So I think there's a slight spoiler on that page, so I'm not going to show you that page. So I just thought it would be fun to kind of letter this panel that we've been showing in the campaign. Obviously, this is a pivotal scene in the book. They come face to face with their mutant attackers, and we'll have to see how it turns out for the squad here. And let's check in again with the campaign. It should be 15 minutes to go. So appreciate, again, if anybody kind of tuned in here late and you're watching this afterwards, late pledges are up. Maybe I'll paste that. I'll paste that in the Facebook comments here in case anybody jumps in late. And yeah, 193 backers. We cannot complain. 176 last time. Was a great first issue. We were very happy. The people are excited about the book. And this time around, we've had so many supporters. Thanks to the last Comic Shop podcast, we did not get a new promo into them on time. Just too much to do as a small company. They were able to run the one we ran for the first issue. I appreciate them. They didn't have to, right? We don't pay them. We don't, we don't have any, contract or handshake deal with them. And for them to be nice enough this week to run that on the most recent episode, look them up. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major ones, the Last Comic Shop podcast. I reached out to them jokingly when I found them a couple years ago and said, "Oh, I actually have a comic book that's coming out, with a very similar name. Just so you know, it was before I found your podcast that we named it." And they thought that was so funny. And their show is, again, pretending that they're the last comic shop on earth, or maybe they're not pretending. Maybe they are projecting from the future. I don't want to spoil it. So that was really cool to, form a friendship and a partnership with them. So we thank them, all the amazing people, Matt, David, Jason, gosh, there's just too many to name. I hate to name people and miss out and forget to name, somebody crucial. We just did an interview with the creators of Gun Girl. If you haven't seen that on Kickstarter, check it out. Let's give you a quick preview here. Gun Girl. They reached out to us, wanted to kind of, share some cross promotion. Gun Street Girl, sorry. I forgot a crucial adjective in that name. But yeah, Rodolfo reached out to us and said, "Hey, you want to do some cross promotion? We see, you're getting to the end of your campaign." They are as well. They have 4 days left. They're right there at funding. We are going to go ahead and back them live on the air. Let's see what tier we want to get. Street level follower. This is a cool action book. Again, just kind of meeting them on social media. We just happen to both have campaigns going. They are from Canada, but we won't hold that against them. No, we love our Canadian friends. But yeah, they've got an awesome book coming out here. This is a 140-page book. So again, you might look at the price tag and say, "Oh, geez," but we've got early bird special for the whole book, 140 pages, $15 for shipping. So we may go with the digital here just because it is coming from Canada, but you see they have awesome tiers here. Let's look a little bit at the campaign. But what I was saying was I already got myself off track. We did, they interviewed us in one of their updates. So that was kind of a cool way to do an update. They talked about our campaign, asked me questions about LCS. So I'll link that in the post in the comments here. If you're interested in hearing more about the book and how it came to be, they had some really thoughtful questions about, how the book came to be, how it was named, the characters, why it's in Chicago, stuff like that. So that was really fun. Thank you to Wicker Man Studios for interviewing us. And yeah, their campaign just has a few days left. So please check it out. And they interviewed our friend David about his book Dusk here too. So they're kind of doing some really cool updates. Very, very, outside the box thinking, rather than just, hey, we're still funding, or hey, check out our friends' books. They're like, hey, let's actually do something. So that's really cool. I'll probably steal those ideas from them. But Gun Girl is about a woman in London. Magic is real, and so are monsters, although they try to keep a low profile because of their problematic reputations. Independent problem solvers of magic or monster related issues are street magicians, and their bodyguards are known as guns. So that's Gun Street Girl. Check it out. Super cool. Thanks to them. Again, I probably won't go down the list of other people. We've been shared, supported, shouted out by dozens of people. And this happens just about every campaign. This is probably nothing new for anybody watching this afterwards, but still a great feeling. We had not to harp on the negative, but we had some disingenuous backers, just to be honest with you, where they back for a large amount. They don't have a lot of campaigns that they backed before. They have a private profile, no profile picture. You can kind of tell what accounts, maybe they're bots. I don't actually know, because in this case, they seem to add a bunch of the add-on tiers. So I don't know if a bot can be trained to do that, but they add a whole bunch of stuff to their cart that's not, that might even be in the tier that they already back. So that's another red flag. Like, okay, why are they getting, 6 of this or 5 of this? And then they wait until the end and then they back out. This happens over and over again with peers campaigns. We haven't exactly figured out the reason for it. I don't know if they want to get their numbers backed up, or they think they'll get like bonus digital stuff or free stuff, or someone will make a mistake and ship it to them. I don't know. If they back out, I don't think they get anything. But the best thing that we can think of is that it's, some sort of malice or cruelty, that they just dislike a creator or a group of creators or whatever. I'd be guessing at this point, because even though we've reached out to some, they've never really responded to anyone that I know. But it's a small community. We're a tight-knit community. So again, we all talk, and it's a known thing at this point. But again, this has happened to us a couple times on a smaller scale. And some people just back out because they have to. No ill will there. We get that. But when you get those large backers, they either put you over goal or put you over stretch goal, and then they back out, or then they reduce. It causes problems with, how you're ordering, what you're doing during the campaign, all that. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. It's part of the crowdfunding. But I say all that to say is we try to be honest, and speak openly about what we go through as creators, so other people can learn. So unfortunately, that did happen at the end of the campaign. But again, we got a huge push at the end. Again, so many people kind of heard my sob story on the internet. So sorry for being a emo crybaby, but I can only be who I am, and that's an emo crybaby. A ton of people just reached out and were like, "Yeah, we got you. We'll promote it out. We'll pledge. We'll share." And that's always an awesome feeling, that you've created partnerships and friendships and camaraderie in the community after all these years. It's just it's always a great feeling. And yeah, so we did get back over the line, and we're actually approaching the true goal of the book, which is about 4,100, and which would be the first book in a while that we've broken even right out the gate. And that would be an amazing accomplishment. No money to recoup afterwards, or have to do sales and stuff afterwards, just to kind of be able to print more books, give Winston more books. We always give our co-creators, books to sell for themselves, besides their page rate. They work so hard on the book. They're a huge part of it. Why shouldn't they celebrate and earn some income, getting the books out there themselves? So, us reaching that goal would just be a huge step. This is our second campaign, as many of you know, if you follow along. We are in the middle of 5 campaigns. Again, last year we did 6. This year we're only doing 5. Oh, we're so lazy. We only doing 5 this year. So this is the second. We had Drumsticks to do, and we're on to LCS. Then we're jumping over here to CPS. Then we're jumping back here to Drumsticks. So if you didn't know, you can still get into the Hold My Shipping program. That includes late pledges if you're watching this afterwards or on YouTube. And yeah, we're going to go into CPS. And then again, each one fuels the next. So this is a huge step for us. And again, if we can get to the break-even mark at about 4,000, which I put at about 200 backers, so that's part of the stretch goal there, is to get us up in the backer level. Then we can, that's great. That's great for a small company to just kind of not have any money in the black and just be able to roll into the next book, completely even on the one before. All feeds into a bigger thing. So again, can't thank enough people. My co-creator now on CPS, Mata Sorcier, of course, she has a campaign as well for Sacrimony, which we will share with you briefly as we count down the last minutes here in Kickstarter land. Sacrimony. So if you haven't seen this, she's on the 8th issue of her long-running series. Wow, most independent comics don't get through the first miniseries, and she's already on issue 8. Don't be fooled by this goal. I know what Mata needs to keep the book going. She's modest with her goal this time, but I will, I tell it like it is. As I said, every dollar counts. So don't feel like she's already over goal. I'll skip this one. She is a great creator. Obviously my co-creator on CPS now, which will be coming out, and she's working on in May of this year. Will be on Kickstarter. But obviously her independent long-running series, she does not need me as a writer, but I'm grateful that she works with me on CPS because she's an awesome writer as well and colorist, which she will also be coloring CPS this time around. So yeah, check out her book as well. Thanks to her for all the support behind the scenes, all the commiseration, camaraderie, sharing, all that stuff. Again, I'm going to stop thanking people because I feel like I'll forget. And if I didn't mention your name, believe me, I see all the sharing, all the likes, all the comments, all the support. It all helps. So we really do appreciate it. And we have 3 minutes left. What am I going to ramble on about for 3 more minutes? Again, this is not the end for CPS. Had the campaign struggled and we had to relaunch or something like that, we could have kind of said, okay, the readership isn't there. But again, almost 200 backers, 176 on the first one. It gets a great response at conventions so far. If I'm correct, I think Winston sold through his books. Our awesome variant cover artist, we want to thank Ray Wegner, the other creator on this book. I know he's been selling the books at conventions. I have as well, of course. And the short pitch of a comic shop, a post-apocalyptic comic about comic collecting, goes over real easy. And Ray's great covers and Winston's great covers are an easy sell. And I don't think these will be any different. So I'm confident these will continue to sell well into the future. So again, when you're a small book with a modest budget, a couple hundred readers is huge. I mean, that's enough to sustain a book, going forward. Now, some of those readers will drop off or not see future campaigns or not be able to afford books. Things can change. But once you kind of have that base of, 150 to 250 readers, again, if you're reasonable with your budget, your printing costs and all that, any book can kind of continue on. So we do want to bring this back in some form. We're not yet ready to announce what that will be, but we will be talking more LCS in the future. And I think we're about to count down to 1 minute here. So we thank everybody who's tuned in, who's commented so far. If you're watching this again afterwards, there we go, countdown. Please drop a comment in here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to port it over to YouTube as well. Let us know if you're excited for LCS. Obviously, the bigger pitch, comic collecting in the post-apocalypse. We hope that you'll like the characters. They're obviously a big part of it. A lot of that has come, in working with Winston and seeing his art and kind of talking to him about the book. A lot of those characters have more come to life, and rather than just my little notes on a page, they've really come into their own. And I'm really excited for this group of characters, which is really the heart of the book, right? Obviously, the bigger concept of comic collecting in the post-apocalypse is hopefully the hook that'll get you in, but we hope that the secondary twist of why the survivors are there and how they survive this long, in the post-apocalypse will really keep you coming back. And again, who they are and how they interact with each other. Obviously, it's no spoiler to see that, Cole found a surviving human there, and how is that going to interact with future stories? We'll have to wait and see. But I hope that people really enjoy it. I've had several people tell me it's this is not gloating or anything, but that it was one of the books they enjoyed most in 2024. So they were very excited to come back. And that's just a great feeling as a creator to have, especially your peers, all my co-creators, peers in the community will say things like that. It's just a great feeling. So we're very happy with where the book is, where the readership is at, and its possibilities for the future. As we count down here, the last few seconds, we didn't get a backer here live, but that's okay. Again, our postcard incentive will go until 4, 3, let me refresh, 2, 1, and you get to see the confetti if you've never seen the confetti here on Kickstarter. Congratulations. I love the countdown confetti. It's a good feeling to reach this goal. We have been here. Now I got to look it up. 22 times. I can't see the exact number. 22 times on Kickstarter. A few other times on other campaigns. So really this is, somebody backed right after it ended. That's so funny. Well, that's awesome. Thank you to if you backed. Oh, thank you so much, Twan. I can't show your comments. It's not working on StreamYard, but yeah, thanks for jumping in the chat. Thank you for your support, and people are excited about it. I hope the story lives up to the concept. I know a lot of people, if they've read my books before, there's always kind of an emo element to it. So it's hopefully has some heart to the characters in the story as well. Not just them, fighting mutants in a post-apocalyptic world while they try to collect Amazing Spider-Man issues. But yeah, thank you again so much, everybody. We've already had a backer. Now we're only 6 backers away from this incentive here. This won't be the actual postcard, but we'll give you a postcard from the post-apocalypse if we reach 200 backers, because we really want to get to that 200 readership on Kickstarter, and then again with all the other avenues that we have in shops and selling in person. It really makes us feel like there's a solid readership for this book so that it can continue into the future. I've been yammering for about 45 minutes. Thanks for who tuned into our lettering guide. If you watch that, if you're interested in more things like that, I'd be happy to jump on here again and show people any tips and tricks that I use when lettering. And thank you so much. LCS is a success. It never gets old. Again, 25 or so campaigns in. It never gets old reaching that minimum funding goal, seeing the confetti fall down. I thank you all so much from Winston as well. We thank you. And yeah, tune in for more LCS in the future, and we'll be shipping Drumsticks of Doom and LCS hopefully by the end of April here. So thanks again, everybody. Take care.